back to the beginning.
Okay, well, welcome to another session of our February virtual CTE conference, a very chilly day across the state. I told the attendees, and maybe some of you have been on several of the sessions here today, but my word for today is flexibility, because with the weather and with the internet issues, and I know personally I've had 3 kids who have been streaming remotely on their learning today. So competing for internet, it has been a challenge. So far, I hate to even say it out loud, but everything's been working well. See, I shouldn't have said that, probably jinxed it. But if someone suddenly disappears, we know that internet could be an issue, but hopefully that won't be our lovely presenters or me or you. So anyway, again, welcome. And I am so excited for this session because I have a personal story to go with this. But my name is Jamie Manhart, and I'm with Greenbush. I'm the CTE coordinator. I'm also the project director for this conference. And I taught journalism for 20 years at Silver Lake High School. And one time I went to the CTE conference and I saw Miss Linda Drake present. And she talked about this student-run business that she started, a photography business with her students, and I was blown away. Enough that I convinced my superintendent, my principal, and another teacher to travel to Chase County to visit her school. So I have seen this up close and personal, and it changed the way I taught. I completely changed my journalism program because of her and because of this program. No pressure, of course. But she's got some outstanding things going on. I'm just super excited. So we have Linda Drake, the journalism teacher, graphic design teacher, and CTE coordinator at Chase County, and one of her students, Bella, and they are going to present to you on their photography student-run business. And so I will be monitoring the chat. Feel free to write in any or type in any questions, and I will let them take it away. Thank you so much for being here on this chilly afternoon.
Thanks, Jamie. I think she gives us a little bit too much credit there. She's had a fantastic program for years, so I'm pretty sure she already knew a lot of these things. We just gave her a little bit more to think about and a little bit more to do. And it was fun to host her school to kind of come when they came down to look. It's a little bit easier to do some of these conversations in person. And Bella and I were actually thinking about having this beautiful beach scene in the background, but we were afraid that we might make y'all jealous. And so we thought maybe we better just go with the regular old classroom just to be on the safe side. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit, and I'm going to switch over here and share a screen a little bit. And I believe Jamie will share what we have sent her on this presentation. But please know that we'll save a few minutes towards the end and see if there's anything that maybe we could answer that we didn't really cover very well, or some questions that you have. I'm not sure we have the right answer. It's worked for us, but we're a smaller school, so far things have gone fairly well. I think we're in our 8th year of doing this. And so we've made a lot of changes over the years, and we'll try to talk about those. So let me see if I can get the screen shared here for you. Get this. And okay. Hoping that all of you can see this now. Okay, thank you. When we started this, and I will tell you, I will have to say that I always told people at the beginning that I would say, be careful on what you ask for. When we first started that, and sorry, that was our last school bell. When we first asked, what we wanted to do actually was just be able to take our sports photos and do those packages, because we were a little frustrated with how things were working with our photography company that was coming in. It was rather difficult for our coaches to deal with it. Sometimes, coaches have their own way of wanting to do things. And so we thought maybe we could put a little bit more flexibility into the program if we would take our own photos on days that were more convenient for our coaches, and we could spread them out. Well, when I presented this to our administration, they thought about it, and when they came back to me about it, they said, well, we really think that would be a great idea if you take on the sports photos, but we would also like you to take on all of the school photos as well. And at that time, they also wanted us to do the grade school. So we were looking at taking the whole set of district photos during that next school year. We managed to, I wrote a grant, we have a local grant available to us here in this community. and they funded all of our expenses for camera and all of the equipment that we'll talk about a little bit later. So we were up and running the next year. Can't say that it all went very smoothly that first year, but we managed to get it all done. So we'll walk you through our process a little bit, and then maybe as you go along, if there's some questions, if you'll let Jamie know, then we'll try to deal with those towards the end. So, okay. We'll let Bella talk for a while about our setup and what she goes through on doing this. I will tell you that on the first day of in-service every year, we do take all of our staff photos, all of our, anybody in the district, we cover everybody, including our maintenance people. So those are done on the first day that we have in-service. We start early in the morning, and we are done before we start our regular in-service meetings. That way we have access to all of their photos for needs on website or any other issues that may come up that we need to put out any kind of adult photos that for use throughout the district. But it also frees up our teachers when we are doing them, the students during the school year, so that if they want to stay in their classroom, we can have kids come to us and then send them back. So it alleviates a little bit of pressure there. So Bella, would you like to talk about some of the issues and how you handle shooting during the day? So.
Yes. So like Jamie introduced me, my name is Bella. I am the yearbook photography editor for Chase County. And we're basically just talking about the setup right now. The night before we come in, we set up the backdrop, as you can see, the lights, the tripods. We do everything besides put the camera in the tripod, basically. We actually also take some test shots. We make sure that the lights are in the correct place so that we can get no shadows on the background, off of the sleeves, off of the bow, the hair, anything like that. We kind of just make sure that everything's in its place so that we don't have to come in at 6 o'clock in the morning. Then the next day, we kind of take some more tests just in case anything moved. You never know. And then we also talk to our teachers a few days prior to let them know that I will be gone throughout the morning. We also have a couple more people that help us along with the photos. We have somebody that is sitting at the table kind of marking off everybody's name. We have a small enough school to where everybody knows everybody's name, so we don't have to worry about that. But as we take their pictures, we mark those off. We also have somebody else that makes sure that everything's kind of in the right order, that fixes their hair if they have a necklace out of place, anything like that. We have somebody that takes care of that. And then there's me to take the pictures, and Mrs. Drake kind of provides the donuts, and she supervises us.
I'm just going to tell you right now, if you're going to have students run this, you better keep them well fed.
Yes. So while we actually get into the process, we have our office call out classes at a time. We usually start with the junior hires to not necessarily get them out of the way, but they're all, yes, they're all kind of in their same classes, since they kind of have 8th grade science, 8th grade math, they're all together, whereas high school is more intermingled with each other. They all have different classes together, regardless of the grade. So we usually get out the junior hires first. The ladies in the office call out their names, call out the names of the classes, and they come down to us. If you can see the hallway in that picture, everybody stands in there. One person comes in, we have them sit on the left side of the stool. You can kind of see there are 2 X's on the floor where her feet are on the stool. We have them take 2 pictures on each side, and that's just so that we get each of the poses out of the way. We want to make sure that we have a variety of pictures just in case one's blurry or there's shadows in one. We make sure we take 2 or 3 on each side so we have plenty to choose from. This year, since we have COVID, obviously, we have them take their mask off right when they sit in the stool. You can tell they're kind of 10 feet away from me, so there's no worry about social distancing or anything like that. But once they come in, they have their mask on. Once they sit down, take it off. And then when they leave, they put it back on. So we didn't really have to deal with anything like that this year. And yeah, so we take the pictures. We make sure to get plenty on each side. Other than that, we finish at about 11:30, I would say, when we start at 8:15. So a good 3 hours it takes. We also have 180 kids in our high school, I think. So um, we're a relatively small school. It doesn't take that long for us. We do have to leave our equipment up throughout lunch and kind of later into the day. We have a few students that also go to the tech college in Emporia, which is about 20 minutes away from us. So they have to drive back. And when they come back to school, we actually get their pictures in this room with the setup. And then we also take some ones in the hallway.
Out in the hallway, what we do is we set up a section where we can have a pretty plain background. And that way we take a full body shot in case we want to use some cutouts for either yearbook use or some posters or whatever. This way we're sort of killing two birds with one stone. We've got that opportunity to have a backup photo if we need it for something for yearbook, more than anything else is what our plans are. So, and we figure if we've got them there, we do a little cattle trail. They just come down the hallway, they take these photos, they go back out the hall, go down another hall, they take their full body shot, and then they're back off to the classroom again. As Bella said, she and the other two students really do a great job of running all of this. My job is pretty much just making sure that if students are out in the hallway without necessarily their instructor there, I'm sort of the police. I could just try to make sure everything stays sort of calm out there and that we keep the process going. We do try to do this with the least minimal interruption during the school day. As Bella said, we run through all of the students fairly quickly, and it has worked fairly well for the most part. What we do try to do is if we put out our schedule, and so if teachers do have some tests or if they have by chance a speaker lined up, or if there's something going on, if we can bypass a class and pick them up later, we're going to do everything we can to work with our staff, because we know this is not a fun day, regardless of how smoothly it goes. Interruptions are always interruptions, and that's difficult. So we want to try to keep those to the minimum as much as possible. Our biggest issue right now, and as I'll mention on the equipment thing, is we don't have a dedicated space for our studio. This is part of my classroom. All of my tables have been moved out. So you realize that if we're doing these pictures in my classroom, that my classes during the morning are going to have alternative plans. And that is a little bit difficult because we just do not have a whole lot of extra space anyplace. We had originally hoped that when we did our remodel 3 years ago, that part of the room next door was going to be part of our area for us to have a studio set up so that we could leave our things up, use it for photography class and for one of my digital media courses. Unfortunately, as many things happen, that didn't work out for us. So, I mean, we've got the process lined up here. It works well for us. We've done it so often. We do the exact same thing again when it comes time for retakes. Obviously, the numbers are not quite as large there, so it doesn't take us too long to get through those. But as Bella did mention, each time we do this, we do set up our equipment the night before. It gives her a great opportunity to double check to make sure that we have our lighting just right. That's always been one of our bigger issues. You know, when you have to move the equipment all the time, getting them back into the exact spot is not always as easy as it sounds. And, you know, you'd think that if you could put tape or some markings down, that would be great, but custodial staff doesn't always think of it that way. So sometimes that's an issue for us. As I go on, this is one of the raw images that Bella has taken. And so I'm gonna let her talk a little bit about what she does after she gets through and survives the day of taking photos. So.
Yes, so after we get all the photos, I keep my SD card that I take every picture on. At the end, there's probably 1,000 pictures on it. I make sure that I keep those SD cards just in case we forget to put something on the computer or the hard drive wipes out, something crazy like that. You never know. especially in 2020. So
Sure.
we make sure that we keep all of that. I keep it probably until the end of the school year. I also have the staff pictures that we take on earlier in the year, like Mrs. Drake mentioned. And then after all of that is on our hard drive, I basically crop in so that you can get probably about her chest up, and then a little bit on top of her head, just so that we have some leeway. I go into Photoshop, I crop it, and then I make sure that the lighting is all right. So I change the levels through my Photoshop, and I also change the DPI and the size of it so that it fits on our yearbook, to make sure that it's not big enough to become a billboard. Other than that, I think that's about it.
Bella's it was great this year because Bella did take on that duty of she's cropped not only the photos, and I'm going to show you how we send these out to the parents as proofs, but she went ahead and did all of them so they are yearbook ready. Because if you do these photos on your own, you will not be getting DVDs or CDs anyplace from your companies. So you will have to plan on those being files that you're going to have to be able to have access to for your yearbook purposes. So if some of you are not necessarily the yearbook advisor, as I am, then you would need to make sure that your yearbook has opportunity to get those photos. So, luckily, since we operate all of it together, Bella knows exactly what kind of setups we need for our pages. And so she's able to do those kind of cropping and adjusting as we go through. So it's sort of, this year, it really saved us another extra step by having her not only do the ones for the proofs that we send out, but also setting them up for yearbook purposes as well. This is a copy of
Linda, before you guys move on, for you and for Bella, a couple of questions when we're talking about shooting the photos. First of all, you mentioned that you have to set all the equipment up again for retakes. Do you include new students on that day? Do you just dedicate one day for new students and retakes, or how many times do you end up having to set up the equipment?
We actually try to get it. We have about 3 to 4 weeks in between the original setup date. And then we do the retakes and new students, obviously, if we have some. And you know what? I wish that all new students would understand our schedule so they all showed up at the right time, but they do not. So there's many times when we will try to set up our lighting again and pick up some of the new students as we go along. That has become more and more of an issue, especially we were lucky this year. A lot of our new students came in early because they wanted to be in our system. We actually have been face-to-face all year long, and we always will be face-to-face. We have a little bit different setup than anybody else in the state. So a lot of our new students this year transferred because they wanted that type of experience for their classwork. So we still have a few that have come in, and before the actual yearbook pages go in, we will have to call them in and get pictures taken of them. So it's not great, but it's, again, small school, we've got the capabilities of doing that. So, okay.
Great. And then Bella, when you shoot the photos, do you shoot in RAW?
No, we do not.
We've tried that. When we did it a couple of years, we did not either. We didn't have our best settings for Photoshop when we were dealing with RAW, but we were not getting as clear photos as we would like. So we decided that we would try to do, we just go with a high res JPEG rather than doing a RAW image. It just seems to works better for us. But with the resolution, as good as our camera is, we've not had any issues with that. So when you're looking at taking a school photo when it's approximately 7 foot tall, we get great resolution when we're looking at cropping it down.
Great.
Okay, does it help?
Yes. And then one last question on your storage. So once you have all these photos, you have 1,000 pictures of, all of these students. You put it on a hard drive. What kind of storage system? I mean, do you put it all in iPhoto, Google Drive, or just keep it in like on a hard drive folder, and then also on your memory card that you keep?
Yes, so I actually have a hard drive connected to a designated computer for the photography editor, which is at the time me. It actually has the hard drive connected to it at all times. And in that, we have photos dating from, I think, 2016 to 2021 now.
Plus we also have another one. We archive for, I think we've archived since we started this. So in case something should happen, we can go back to one of our other external hard drives and be able to double check and see about that. So
Great. And then I think I saw later in your presentation, are you going to cover equipment and where you buy things? Is that later in the presentation?
it is. We're going to talk about that just a little bit. We've got a couple of things that just some pointers, suggestions for you on that. So,
Perfect. That was
Well-
another question. Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
Are we good with everybody?
I think so. Anyone else questions? Oh, wait. Casey has asked, is this a class that Bella is taking? Is she the only student in that class? What does she do the rest of the year after the portraits are done? And I
Well-
think you guys might allude to that with the sports.
Well, let me tell you, I don't have too much trouble keeping Bella busy most of the time because she is, first of all, she's an overachiever. So she's eager to get out and take pictures. She is our photo editor for the yearbook. And so she is constantly out during, and I actually have her 2 hours a day. She has advanced journalism and broadcast first hour in the morning. And then she has an in-house training class in the afternoon. And so she has, that gives us a little bit more flexibility on when she can get in and out and take care of photos. Obviously, she's really busy during the time we're taking these photos and when we're doing sports photos, but she also does a lot of photos for other activities. In fact, we just have a new company coming into our community and they just contacted us today about seeing if we could have somebody that would be able to get a picture of one of our bankers, one of our business people downtown, and she has already got that taken care of today. So she is quite busy doing those. Plus she does other projects as well. So there are days when maybe she's not quite as busy, but she always has plenty of things to do with yearbook. And as I said, we do have or she mentioned, I believe, we do have a designated photo computer that she is in charge of. So everything goes through her. So if we're looking for something in particular for either a person, because we get a lot of requests, we also do a lot of photography for some other businesses in town. So as we go along, if we need something, we know that Bella is our go-to person. And it really does help to have somebody that has the capability of being as organized and as dedicated as Bella is, at least from my point as my perspective as an advisor. So. Okay, Jamie, are we good now?
I think we're good on questions. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, and keep sending her questions. First of all, we always like to keep Jamie busy because I'm sure she has nothing else to do in her spare time. But as we go along, we're more than happy to answer questions. So Jamie, just stop us whenever you need to. So
You bet.
what we're going to do now is I was going to show you a little bit on the order forms that we set up. These were some of the packages that we decided to offer when we started. We offer 3 packages. As you can see, our prices $15, $18, and $20. Average about half of what usually LifeTouch was the company we'd used before. These are about half that price. We do offer some individuals. We try to keep them reasonable because we're not exactly a high income area around here. So we try to keep them halfway reasonable. And then there's a form there where they can fill out down below. Notice where it says photo, photo, photo. We offer them 2 poses, A and B. As Bella said, she takes it when they're staying to the left and to the right. And I'll show you in just a second what we send with this form. But this gives them a chance to fill out what they want to do. They get to pick the photo. And what we send them is nothing more than just like we take some photo paper, run it through, we do inkjet printer, and they're not meant to be anything other than just a proof. And we make sure that, our community knows that. I picked through my staff members here. I figured they wouldn't complain too much if their picture was out there. But we take a photo sheet, we run 3 people on each one, we cut it in thirds, we put it into the envelope, we send it home with all of the parents. I know we have a new principal and he wanted to know if we send it home digitally. We do not. We send this home because this way they do have those copies. If they choose not to order anything else, they at least have those 2 little photos, whatever that may be worth. And then they answer where it said photo, that's where they get the photo A or photo B as we go along. Bella's the one that did all of the work for these. And then she also helped get them cut and set up so that they were ready to go out. We try to combine that because we take some of our fall sports right before we do the individuals. So we try to go ahead and get our fall sports of football, cross country, and volleyball ready so that we can send those together, sort of keep the amount of packaging down a little bit. And I'll show you what that looks like as well. And then we'll see if you have some questions after that. Our order form for sports looks a little bit differently because we do offer the little, what we call the combo, the team with the individual. And the company that we work with has some great choices. You have different types of choices for those packages or for what you want that combo to look like. We do find that our package 2 and 3 are very popular. We know they love the wallet size and the 5x7s. Some of them, usually one team is about all they want, but we do give them some other options over there at the side. We also have found a keychain. We have a lot of parents that like to have a keychain with their child on there as well. The photo button, we did end up taking off this year because we found out that the juniors were going to use that as a money-making project. They wanted to sell buttons. They had a button maker available in the business department. So that was a project that they wanted to take on. And since Bella is a junior, it worked out fairly well. What we did is we set up the photos for them. We cropped them to the right size for their buttons. And then we also printed them on good photo paper so that they were ready to have the juniors put together for their buttons. So that became a money-making project for both us and for them as well. And then for the photos that we send out, sorry, I didn't go back to football and volleyball, but I picked out a basketball and a wrestling picture there. We just cut that photo sheet in half, and then they get an example of what their child looked like, the team picture. Again, if they choose not to order from us, they at least have this little memento they can stick away if they want it. I mean, it's whatever will work for them. And maybe it's because I've been a cheer and dance coach different times throughout my career. You can never make cheer and dance parents always very happy. So we actually give them 2 poses compared to the other sports. It always seems like that sort of pacifies them a tiny bit, and they can pick whether they want the sitting or standing photos. So those are the kind of things that we send home for the parents to look at. So
Linda, quick question on the proofs.
Yes.
You guys put the proofs together. Do you use InDesign, or do you have something that's simpler to design those proofs?
Well, remember my goal still is to teach these kids as much software as I can. I make them use InDesign to do this. I have some other students. Bella doesn't do so much with the sports photos, but I have a couple other kids during one of my afternoon classes that this was something they were really excited about. They knew enough Photoshop to help with toning the photos and how to crop those and do that. They did not know InDesign when they started, but we had a template that we have set up for these things. So we taught them enough InDesign to get them going. And so by the time it was all over, one of them was a senior and she was doing her resume in InDesign. So learning some software along the way, I consider that a benefit. They may not always think that at the beginning, but it's a great way for them to have that access and knowledge in both Photoshop and InDesign. Again, that's my goal. Yes, I'm a yearbook advisor and publications advisor, but I want my kids to know as much software as they can possibly know. I've never had one die from knowing too much on software. So I'm thinking this is the way to go to keep them sort of updated and challenge them to be able to learn how to do new stuff. So, and this is sort of a fun project that they can learn. Any others?
That's it for now.
Okay, we'll see what we can do here. So, okay, once we get those order forms back, again, the kids tally all of the work, the orders, so that we know we have a form. Probably still a little old fashioned on that because we still do some paperwork on that. But we get an all tallied together. The money that we pull in goes to a fund. We have an account set up down through the USD office, and it's just called our photography fund for our business. And so as we get money in, we put it in that account. Then as we order photos, we then can send the bills. We have a credit card through the district that is on file with Miller's Professional Imaging. That's the company I started with. And offhand, I don't remember who recommended them to me, but I would highly recommend this company to anybody that's thinking about doing this. They have been amazing about getting stuff to us. The way the packages come to us are always well done. We have very seldom have any issues with anything. And usually if we do, it probably was our fault rather than Miller's fault. The delivery, sometimes we've ordered like in the afternoon one day and we'd have the orders by the next afternoon. I mean, they are super quick. I've noticed recently it's been maybe a day in between, but it still is a super quick delivery from them. So, and then as then as the money is charged to our district credit card, then Cindy, our district clerk, will transfer the money from our photography fund back into cover the credit card. So then everything after that money is for our use. We let it get up to about, after the first 3 or 4, it's about 3 years, I think we were up to $8,000. And now that we use that money off and on we've bought 1 or 2, couple of new cameras out of it. We've bought a new lens. We've covered some of our journalism competitions out of that. When we need little things that maybe just to keep us going. I will just say that throughout, well, pretty much since we've got set up here with our journalism program, our district has bought very little equipment for us. I don't know if you can sort of see our background here, but we have 18 computers sitting in here. All of those computers we got through grants that I worked on before when we were starting the program. As I said, I worked on getting money for our equipment for our photography business through a grant. Very little of our equipment that we use currently has come from anything other than either grants that we got or through Carl Perkins. A couple of years ago, the district did offer to put us on a service cycle basis. And so we got another big lens, really nice lens out of that. So as money goes, this has been very profitable for us. It was probably more probable when we were doing the grade school photos as well. We have not done those for a few years. We are probably going to go back to doing that again. We're in the midst of talking with our elementary principal, so we'll be looking at seeing what we can do with that. So this is the contact information, and this is in your the slideshow that's this presentation that we put together. So there's some phone number there. There's a mailing address. I think this is sort of how I contacted them the first time, is through this page right here, because you cannot necessarily get to the material you need to do orders or to set up this kind of business until you've made that contact with Miller's. There's nothing up on the menu bar that's actually going to let you get in and see what their system is like as far as ordering photo packages. So if you contact them, and I think just in the message I said, hey, we're looking at starting our own student-run photo business. We want to be able to order packages. What do we need to do to set this up? And they were great about contacting me, and we got our account set up. And so it was just really very smooth process after all of that. So, okay. Is there any questions about Miller's or how we set any of our accounts up?
There was one question about the grants you discussed. Casey asked if those were local grants from your community.
They're close to our community, yes. There was it now belongs part of the Emporia Foundation, but it was called Kaltenbacher, was a local scholarship or foundation thing that was set up. And they were really great. In fact, 3 years in a row, I was, getting quite a bit of equipment from them. And then after the 3 years and we had everything set up, they said, you know, once you take a break and we'll look at some of the other things, which I understood that, but were so good about helping us get everything set up. They have been very supportive of a lot of our school events and activities and programs that they have helped do that. I know that not every district may have that availability, but you know, once I found out that you could write something, I learned how to write letters and beg. You know, I figured the worst they're going to do is say no. And so we managed to get quite a bit of equipment and it helped us get started. So, and I know that they were very pleased with how we handled our business after that. So,
Excellent. And then one other question from Casey. Do you charge tax on your photos?
we do not. We do not. It's so much easier to do it this way. I realize that you know, whatever they have to take out of our fund will be taken out, but we try to make everything we do here, we actually try to make it as easy for our parents as possible. We know they're very busy. We also know that we have several that, you know, it's a stretch for them just to order photos. So we want to make it, yes, we want it to be a good business, but we also know that we deal with our community the best we can, and we want to make sure that they support us as much as possible. So
that's it for the questions for now in the chat.
okay. Equipment. Okay. You know, Bella, what do we use? A 7 Ti?
Yes.
Yeah, 7 Ti Canon camera. I've always used Canons. I've been sort of a big fan of those, probably because that's where I started. And you know, teaching an old dog new tricks. Why mess with something that's been working for us? They're good cameras, but they're not super expensive. Could we use probably a much higher quality photo or camera? Probably we could, but this has worked really well for us. So we've started off there. The tripod, the multiple, I can't tell you how important the multiple camera batteries are. Bella will probably attest to the fact that, I don't know, probably what do you do? Change 3 or 4 times?
Probably more.
Okay.
The flash actually slows down the camera, and it says busy on the very bottom, so it kind of takes a while to get back to normal. So to fix that, we change out the batteries. It's not that the batteries necessarily die, it's just that they get slow. So we actually have a extension strip that goes right next to me. I just switch out the batteries, put one in the charger, take the other one out, and we just do it like that, and none of the batteries ever die. It's just that they get slow. So yes.
Anytime we have a break in the stream of things when we're shooting, it's a good opportunity for her to change. We always try to make sure that we make sure we don't have any classes getting pictures taken if it's getting close to the end of a class period, because we don't want them stuck in the hallway, especially this year with the way everything was going. So we wanted to try to do that. So that gives her time to change batteries and SD cards if necessary. Those SD cards, I am so thankful that we keep those just to be on the safe side. You know, we've been very fortunate that we have not lost a whole bunch of photos due to a bad card or to something happening with our hard drive. But you know what? I don't want to find out what it's like. Okay. It's not an experience that I really want to have. You need the backdrop support, your little standards that you use, the bar. We have one that a really good, very sturdy, that we like. When we bought the backdrops, we did get several. We got 4 of them. The one we use, as you saw in the picture, sort of a bluish gray. You can pick. There's tons of different colors out there. We sort of like that one. We didn't want the really bright colors. I experienced one year when I didn't realize they had made a change, but Life Touch let them pick any color backdrop they wanted. From a yearbook advisor's point of view, that was like living a living hell, because I had colors from all different bright colors going on. And so we tried to go with the blue gray because we felt it was about as complementary to anything that we could get. We use a black for special occasions when we're doing some interviews, especially video. So the white we've done for cutouts, and then the green, I also have, as I said, I have a video class, and so we use that for green screen whenever we need it. But you can order in whichever ones you want. When we first started, we used B&H Photo to buy our backdrop support, our backdrops themselves, our stool, and our lighting equipment. I called the company and I said, I am so sorry that you got this call, but here's my deal. I'm getting ready to start, we're starting a school business, doing photography. I need to know what I need to order. And I'm pretty sure the guy said, oh, shouldn't have answered this phone call. But I walked him through what we wanted to do. He gave me tons of different ideas. They were so helpful. I could not have done it without their support. I talked to him about what I wanted to do, price range. And so they gave me some options to choose from, and then I could make my final choices. I would recommend too on the lighting equipment that you have at least the 3 lights. We have the 2 on the side and then the backlight that we have going on there. When we ordered, I really sort of wanted a kit. And so that's what I asked for, is so that it all came together. And it came in a wonderful roll cart, little bag, zip up bag that has all of this stuff. And let me tell you, I say little, it's not, it's very heavy by the time you have to move that 3 or 4 times a day. I'll say that now. But so if you're thinking about doing this, I would highly recommend someplace like B&H Photo, where they can help give you the support of what your situation is, because maybe what works for us may not be the best thing for what you have at your school. But I felt like they listened and they were willing to give us suggestions and then let us make some choices, and also work with us in a budget that we could handle. The external hard drive, we are on at least our 2nd or 3rd one with our photography stuff. We keep photos from everything, not just our portraits, but we back up everything we shoot. And when I have photographers as prolific as Bella, we have lots and lots of photos. So those little external drives are great. We can store those so that if we need to go back, you might be surprised why you might need. I get calls all the time wanting to know if I have photos from something several years ago. The ones I hate the worst are obviously when there has been a death with one of our former students, but we have been able to help out on situations like that. And in that case, I am so thankful that we had those, that we could be of some help to the families. But having that backup storage is an absolute must. We have, as we said, the 1 photo dedicated to just photography is a big help. We did not have that the first few years. So this has made a tremendous help trying to keep things organized. Also, we want to just always make sure, excuse me, that we have that ability to download. We can keep things on the computer if we need to, but Bella's very efficient and gets that to the hard drive as soon as possible. So in fact, I feel like she probably never lets them set overnight as much as possible.
Rarely.
So, excuse me. And then the last thing I put on there was the dedicated studio area. I would kill for that. That's the one thing I really, really wanted, that I think would make our life so much nicer. It just, I had somebody suggest that there's this place over we have multiple buildings, they're attached, but multiple buildings. And I said, I can't just take it over somewhere, several floors away from me and leave equipment. We need that all the time. So that's why we were looking for in the room next to us. It was the most logical. You would just save your students and your advisors so much work if they had that space available. So, okay. What about questions on equipment that we could answer for you?
Well, there is one question in the chat. Charity asked, what advice do you give for being organized in a way to find that photo request even a few years later? What is your organizational system?
Well, first of all, hi, Charity. I wish I could see you in person. We've communicated several times, so hopefully I'll see you before this is all over. This is why if you're going to have a photo editor, you want somebody organized, because I'm not going to be the one I can go look, yes, but I can spend a long time looking. Bella is extremely organized, and this is something that we've developed over the years. When we first started, I've always said my editors have to make those decisions, what makes the most sense to them. And once they figure it out, explain that process to me so I will know, and to our other editors so that they will have that knowledge. But they're the ones that deal with this on a regular basis. So I'm going to let Bella sort of explain her process, if she would, about how she organizes her photos.
Yes, so any event, any sports game, the individuals that we're talking about today, the sports individuals, any of that, all of those photos go onto the hard drive that is connected to my computer. And inside of that hard drive, there's probably 10 folders throughout the years. The one for this year is 2020 through 2021 photos. And I basically chose to split that into fall, spring, summer, winter, spring, summer, fall. Yes. And throughout those, we do the events and then the sports and then other just categories like that, where you can break them down and then you really know what you're looking at. Let's say I wanted to go to a specific volleyball game, I would click the main folder, and then I would go to fall, and then high school, and then sports, and then volleyball, and then there's the specific games. It has the dates on the name of the folder, and then inside of that, it has two last folders. Let's say that there were two people that took pictures at that game. It would have BZ, my initials, and then the initials of whoever else took pictures at that game. And then you would get into all of the photos. We save every single photo, unless it's like really blurry or unsavable, like if it's just too dark. We get rid of those to kind of maximize the amount of storage that we have on our hard drive. And then other than that, there can be up to 200 photos in one folder. So we kind of keep all of those. And then further onto that, when our editors are kind of taking photos for their spreads on the yearbook, I make sure that the designers can actually get to it by putting a folder on the desktop itself on my computer. And I put it as like deadline 1, deadline 2, things like that. And that kind of goes into the different spreads that we have. And I just pick out the best pictures from each of the events, each of the sports games, things like that. I put that all into the deadlines. Again, I put the initials because we want to make sure that everybody has photo credits where it's due. And yeah, then into that, we make sure that everybody can get to the photos as easily as they can. I kind of check to make sure that the organization fits for everybody else and not just me, because there are many times that things make sense in my mind, but not in others. So that's kind of how we organize it.
We started this process several years ago, and we've refined it over the last, I'd say after last 2 or 3 years, we've really got it down to a much better process. It makes sense because we can find things. To me, it's important that we know exactly what dates things were taken. We also need to know specifically who took which photos, and that's why we get initials on there. We get photo credits on everything we put out. And so we want to make sure that we have all of that information available to us. Organization is a huge key to it. And again, that's where our storage comes in handy to have that set up like that. We divided by seasons, basically, because that's how we've been dividing the yearbook basically for the last couple of years. So that's one of the reasons we did that. But as she said, within each season, we still have sports divided by the different ones that go on that season, or we have our clubs, the different activities. So like if you have our K organization and they've done something in particular in that season, inside their folder is going to be that event. So it's really just very important for us to make sure that we can find everything very easily. Yes, if we have to go through maybe 200 photos to find the best ones, that sort of falls on Bella's shoulders because she already sort of knows what's in it there. She's got a very good memory, so we're lucky that she does remember a lot of the photos. I can easily say, hey, did we take a picture of this and this and this at an event? And I can ask her, and she's probably going to be able to tell me and have that photo located in probably 3 or 4 minutes. So that is a huge help to me as an advisor.
And another question for Bella. This is from Casey, and this has to do specifically about the individual portraits, not the sports. Do you change the names of each file so it has the student name and grade? And I would piggyback on that and say, and do you do a special folder or a special name of the file on the one that you want to go in the yearbook?
Yes, so kind of going back to the last question, in the hard drive, we have the seasons, and then we also have another folder that says individual pictures / group pictures that has the sports and the actual individuals through 7th to 12th grade. You click on the grade, and then it has each student's name. In there, it has the raw photos that we take. So 2 or 3 on each side, and then after I am finished with editing all of them, I save, when I'm in Photoshop, I save the pose A or pose B. I label the actual photo, pose A or pose B. I save the best ones into that same file so that if we want the raw photos or if we want the edited photos, we can just go to 7th grade and then the specific name and then see all of the photos right there. And then there's also a folder that just has the edited photos as well.
Does that make sense?
It does to me. Casey, does that make sense to you? She's saying thank you. So yes.
I will say she put, the minute we get these photos taken and she gets them downloaded, she's probably has already set up all of her files with all the student names on them, because as we're getting ready to come up on taking those photos, she has a student list. I make sure all my students have student lists so that they can get spelling correctly, correct on all their names. And so Bella gets those files set up. So when she starts downloading from the shoot, she is taking each of their photos and she is putting them in with their names. Now, occasionally I will say sometimes new students or 7th graders sort of throw us a little bit, but again, in a small community, it doesn't take long to figure out who's who. And so those are all divided up immediately so that we have those in their specific files. And then she can go in and do the editing. And as she said, she saves this photo A and photo B. If a parent orders, then and they like photo A, then we know that's the one we want to use for the yearbook. So we keep track of that as well. So I'm going to skip right on over here just a second because I know we're starting to run out of time. I did pull this up. This is a kit, another kit that we just ordered. We are looking, this one has LED lights, our others do not. But this one was one we found on Amazon. I don't know that I could have done this if I hadn't have already known something about what we needed. But I'm just going to say that there's another place. I buy a lot of my cameras on Amazon because they do have some good equipment there. But again, it's because I know what I like and what has worked well for us. I can't stress B&H Photo enough as far as if you're just starting out and you want some professional support, I think they would be awesome for that option. Whereas if you are then looking to do some changing somewhere along the way, then this is pretty much what we have in our first kit. It's just that it is getting well used. It's traveled a lot for 2 or 3 years. Well, actually about 4 years. I also advised Emporia State University, their yearbook staff, and they did not have any photography equipment whatsoever for their shots for their book. So we loaned out equipment for a couple of times until we could find the funds and I could help them order things for their own staff. So it has more than enough paid for itself multiple times. But this one I felt was one that was pretty decent and a fairly decent price. You're not going to get any cheaper than that, I don't think, and get the equipment that you need. So, okay, just so you could see that there are some other options out there. And before I quit sharing the screen, at the end of our presentation, I do have all of our contact information here, and you're more than willing to, I'm more than willing to let you call, holler at me anytime if you want us to explain some more. And you can always reach Bella through me if you want to. I hate to put her contact information out there just in case. But if you need anything, we're available at any time. Let me escape here just for a second and sort of get back. So are there other things there that we could answer, or I hope it's made some sense to you along the way?
It looks like you've answered most of the questions in the chat. Lots of thank yous. Charity was asking, and Charity, I'm not sure if they answered this question, but the renaming, you do that manually or do you export through like Lightroom?
Bella actually does it manually because of the numbers. We can do that easily that way. So, and that way is she just goes through, and as I said, when she knows, when we have all the folders set up for the individual students, then we can just drag those right on over, and then she can deal with them at a later time. But it's really nice to get that done. And I would say very seldom is there a day that she does not have all of those photos already divided. By the end of the day, we took pictures. Okay. Again, that's the nice part about it. I have her in the morning when we're shooting, and then I have her again after lunch. And so that's exactly what she's doing right after lunch. She has got in-house training. Those upper level, those third tier classes have been so good. I've got to say, it challenges me to keep up with sometimes with all of the things they're doing because we've got so many different projects. We work with several businesses around here. We do some video work for a business. We do some InDesign projects for different businesses. So it is challenging, but it's been a great experience for the kids. It just makes my mind keeps me sharper than probably I would be otherwise. Maybe, I don't know. It just have to keep going with them. But having those in-house training kids can really be a big plus to your program. And they're getting such great real world experience. There's nothing that I could possibly teach them that's any better than them dealing with students on a daily basis, teachers on a daily basis, working with businesses, I think it's a great experience for them. So there may be days they wish they didn't have to do this, but it has always, I think, turned out fairly well. So anything else? Jamie, is there anything else that you can think of that you would have wanted to know?
No, I think you've answered all the questions in the chat. Anyone want to unmute and ask any questions?
First of all, hi, Charity. It's nice to see you. I see Jessica's on here somewhere. Saw her.
Charity says, I bet they love your enthusiasm. They will leave with such great skills. Oh, yes, for sure. Who deals with the kind of the customer service? Let's say a parent's not happy with the photos or isn't pleased with the process. Who handles that?
I'll take that on. That's my number goes on, or my email goes on the letter, so that if they have concerns, that's going to always come back on me. I'm sorry, and I wish that we would never make mistakes, but I'll tell you what, I make them on a daily basis. So if I can make them on a daily basis, why would our students sometimes not make mistakes? So, and it's hard telling. It could have been my mistake to start with too. So I'm never going to subject my kids. I'm going to tell them if we have an issue, and if it's something that we did, then we're going to correct it by all means, regardless of what the problem is. If a parent isn't happy, we're going to try to fix those issues for them. But if it's something that we need to learn to do better, then we'll work on that. But I will never subject a student to a parent complaint. Okay, that's just they're still taking this for a class. They're still students.
We always said it was failing forward. Yep. As long as you're moving forward and you're failing forward, it's okay.
If we don't make a mistake usually on a daily basis, then I really probably worry whether we're doing anything, because that's all part of the learning process. My kids, I feel like that's how I've learned a lot of things. I'm hoping my students feel the same way. If you can't try something, and I always want them to try something new. And if they can't try something new and learn from whatever it is they tried, if it worked the first time, wow, that's great. Okay, wish we could have that every time. But if we don't, then we figure out what went wrong and we do it better the next time. So I think that's the only way education works.
Absolutely. And there's one last question in the chat. Allie asked, she said she'd love to know more about the video equipment that you use.
Well, actually, again, I've got some Canons. We aren't really fully into, we don't have the studio to have a full-blown program. We still have all of our cameras. Since we're using the cameras, the 7 TIs, 6 TIs, 5 TIs, all of those have digital capabilities as well. But I also have 7 or 8 small Canon video cameras. Plus we have one bigger new one that we got through Carl Perkins that we use for our major programs. I try to get them out to shoot as much as possible, but we also do the state fair competition, which has been a great learning experience for them and for me because that's not my area of expertise very well. But we are learning as we go along. So I can, who did you say that was?
That was Allie. I'm looking for your last name, Allie, or you can certainly unmute. McCullough?
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm here with my baby, so he's kind of loud.
Oh,
You're
hey,
fine.
that's all right. It's just like a normal day at school.
Yeah.
If you would just contact me, I would be more than happy. We could get you a list of some of the equipment we use. But we use a lot of our lighting equipment and our things that we showed you today to do interviews and to do some of that, those things. But I'd be more than happy to send you about some of the microphones and some of the cameras and some of the video cameras that we use. If that would be of value to you, I'd be more than happy to share.
100%. Thank you so much.
And tell the little one hi.
He says hello back.
Okay.
And Casey said something, I'm glad you mentioned this in the chat because I was going to say something. So Linda sent me this presentation right before it started. And so no, it's fine. No, it's fine. I loaded it on to the conference website and I put the link in here so you can access it. It's in Key, which is like the presentation mode. So she was saying she could only see page 1. Okay. So Casey, if you download it, so once you bring up the presentation, if you download it, it will download the whole presentation. But also what might be easier, Linda, if you just want me to send me a PDF of that, I can put that on the conference website. And that way it's a little easier to access. But if you download it, Casey, you should be able to see the whole thing, but I might replace it on the conference website with a PDF if you don't mind sending that,
not
Linda.
a problem. Sorry, she didn't get it till sort of late. We, without any school yesterday and today, part of the stuff was here, part of it was with me. And so we had to do some last minute things. It's been challenging. We've had a lot of activities going on. So we're trying to cram several months into 1 week this next week. So I think we have 4 games in 4 days. And so everything sort of builds up. So I would be more happy to send that PDF to you. So we'll get you.
Well, you guys are so busy and doing amazing things. And like Casey said, Bella is a real winner to come in on a snow day and just in general.
I guarantee you she is a real winner. But I will tell you that luckily she lives right across the street. But even though she's right across the street, I can guarantee she also drove today so that, we joke about that constantly on the fact that she lives so far away, but she is amazing. She does this all summer long. She may not get a diploma when it comes time because she does way too good a job. So this is the kind of students that you want to find that will be dedicated like Bella, because it's not an easy job. And it does take a lot of time, and hopefully they're organized. That is definitely one of her, she's a great photographer, no doubt about that, but she has organizational skills that make a huge difference.
Well, and it's that responsibility, and talk about, I mean, being able to take that out into the real world. She's going to have so much leadership and responsibility, and being able to handle the pressure of deadlines and leading her staff. That's going to take her far no matter what she does.
Well, I hope it doesn't take her too far, but she'll just keep her here in this department for another year or so. I would be really happy. So, but you're right. She does. She already has amazing things that she's been doing, and so it's going to continue to get there. So, and this is actually only her first year as a photo editor. So all this she did. She came in cold. She helped out before, but she came in cold in August and jumped right in. And this is all stuff that she's developed since then. So
Very cool.
Very good. So, okay, I will get that presentation, but please don't hesitate to reach out to us if there's anything we can do to sort of explain. And as I said, we're welcome if you want to come and join us someday. I know this is not the best time to travel, but next fall, if you're looking at it, or sometime this summer, I'm around here most of the time, but I don't know if it made any more sense to Jamie when she and her administration came in here, but it was a great pleasure to be able to host them here and ask the questions. And if I needed to, I could pull out equipment and do some things there to show. So whatever
Well, I'll tell you, probably one of the selling points as I took my principal and my superintendent was because you also, just like today, you're so good about having your students tell the story as well. I think that was the selling point, hearing your students and how responsible and how composed and how much responsibility they were taking on. They're like, that's what we want for our students as well. So I think that's always a good selling point as well.
I've been blessed. I've had so many good kids that honestly, last year I dealt with some health issues with my husband, and I had to be gone a lot with him. And I had my editors they basically took over. I could be gone. I had to be gone every afternoon for about 6 weeks, and they just jumped right in, and I really never had to worry about it. I hated not seeing them, but I never had to worry about things at school because they can run this department a lot of times better than I can. So I'm just thankful that we have students that are so dedicated. So.
Well, that is awesome. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for being here. One little piece of housekeeping. Those of you who've been in the sessions know my drill, but in the chat, I put a bit.ly address. It's /2021 CTE conference. If you would like to receive a certificate of completion for attending this session, go to that address. There's a Google form. You can give feedback on the session. You can you fill out the Google form, and then you will receive a confirmation email, and then you'll receive your actual certificate of completion. And for those of you watching the recording, which I know many will do, I'm going to share my screen quickly and share that address. This is what the Google form looks like. And here is the bit.ly address, that /2021 CTE conference. Again, you'll receive 2 emails after you complete the Google form. First one is confirmation that you entered everything correctly. The second one is your actual certificate that you can use towards college credit or PD points. So,
and as I would just say, I'm also our PDC chairman, and that's exactly what you need. That'll just be the easiest thing for you to get those points. So
awesome.
Amazing. You will do that for them. Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. So far, we have 68 recordings on our conference website for teachers to watch, and they will be available until the end of August. So they have the summer to peruse them when they have perhaps a little more time.
For me, I'll say I love that. That is great. So
awesome.
Thank you very much. And as I say, if you have any questions and you want to get a hold of us later, please don't hesitate to do so. And thank you very much for giving up whatever nice warm afternoon that you might have had planned. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bella. Thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon and evening.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.